It takes faith to hold on to a vision, especially when it doesn't seem like what you would like is possible. The challenge that we have today is there's so many opportunities to get what we would like, and yet sometimes we allow fear to hold us back and stop us from taking those bold steps forward in reaching our dreams. If we don't take the time to confront our demons and confront our desires, we may never figure out what we want and do those things that are on our wish list and turn them into reality. I'm Latia, and I love travel. I feel like it's an expression of freedom and an opportunity to learn from people in other places and other cultures. I've traveled to a variety of places: Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, France, Switzerland, a variety of states in America, just all over the world, including Singapore. That was a fun one. And now that I'm in the habit of travel, I tend to have a bit of a framework that works for me in creating these dream trips. I do tend to have a mixture of travel points and just, I guess, the budget for it a lot of the times. And there was a time when I didn't have the money to travel or do such things, and I was still able to find a way. So one of these experiences, I was doing a missions trip to Costa Rica. This was in college. At the time, I was a server at Steak and Shake. And what I ended up doing was, instead of asking for money like most people probably would when you're doing a missions trip and getting support and spreading the word, I decided that what I wanted to do was save up my tip money. So I had a jar, would collect the tip money, and all my cash tips would go towards me saving up for that trip. So over the course of the weeks that it took before we took it, I was just saving up my money, and I was able to just pay for the trip in full on my own. So part of me is like, that defeats the purpose of a missions trip. Yet I had a great time. I did the blog post that they asked of us, and it doesn't matter how you get the funding as long as you get it. So another trip that I ended up taking, which was really interesting because I'd been working for JP Morgan at the time, and that was a very short-lived experience. So with the job, I would have had the funding to guarantee that the trip would go smoothly, everything would be fine. The trip in question is going to BeautyCon in Los Angeles with my younger sister, Kasia. She has a great YouTube, check her out. But we wanted to take this trip to LA, and I hadn't really booked everything for it, and it was around the time where I left the job. And instead of being like, oh man, I can't do it, I told my sister, I was like, no, we're going to this conference. It's going to be a great opportunity, and I'm not going to let this job stop me. We are already committed to doing this, so let's just play and see how it works out. So I was on booking.com. I was able to find the Los Angeles Athletic Club. We stayed in that hotel, and I really loved it. Like, I saw the advertisement for it, and I was enamored. I was like, that's where we're staying. Then I was able to get our tickets. I think that was the first thing I purchased, which is always pretty easy. When traveling for an event, a conference, it helps to start by buying the ticket to the event. That way there's a foundation of reasoning for attending, and there's no way to, back down. So it's kind of like you're throwing down the gauntlet, and it's like, nope, I'm committed. I don't know how the rest is going to show up, but at least I know my spot is saved and I shall take it. Then I like to get travel. So finding the flights, making sure you're aware of transit. How long does it take to get from my airport to my hotel? How long does it take to get from the hotel to the event? Will I need Ubers and Lyfts for all of this? Just really understanding the logistics of what it's going to take to be present for your activities. And after that, sometimes I'll think about food, trying to have a food budget set aside, but that's a daily expense that we already have to worry about, whether we plan it out strictly or we just have fun and kind of wing it. I tend to wing it more. I need to work on my eating habits, so that's on a list of things that I'm working on in my life. That's just a bonus tip. So when it comes to creating a dream trip, one of the first things I like to do is, where would I like to go, or what am I trying to do? So a lot of my trips tend to be event or activity oriented, like a missions trip. I didn't just think, hey, let's go to Costa Rica, that'd be fun. There was, we're doing a missions trip and it happens to be in Costa Rica. Yeah, I'm down. I love travel. Costa Rica sounds fun. So I was on it. The most recent trip I took that involved an intention behind it, my sister Kasia lives in England right now. Her birthday is May 10th. I wanted to be in England to celebrate her birthday. She had my other sister, Leandra, stay with her the month before in April. So she wasn't about to spend money on taking another trip or all that. She was also working as a server at the time, so she wasn't able to just take off work on her birthday, which is Mother's Day. So I had been doing research on pole camps because I like to do pole fitness, and I saw that there was a pole camp in Budapest around her birthday from May 5th to May 10th. It was running, and I would have that opportunity to just see my sister and be with her around the time of her birthday. And since she was working during the weekend, she would be able to come during the week and we could spend some nights together. So it let me be there for her birthday. I got to experience a new pole camp. It's been around for 9 years, but I got to do pole camp. And I got to go to new countries. I stayed in London on the way in, went to Budapest, stayed there, and then stayed in London for 2 nights after. And it was great. St. Ermin's Hotel in London was absolutely incredible. And I got a room upgrade. Phenomenal. It was so much fun. So starting off with, what are you wanting to do? Where would you like to go? That's a great place, because then from there you can build out the rest of it. What do you need for the trip? Usually hotel, transit, flight travel, and possibly like food or passes for events, making sure you're aware of like what activities you want to do. I'm not much of a itinerary or strict planner kind of person. I'm more wing it or go for the my purpose, and then I just hang out and do whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But if you're the type of person who likes to do things, you can look up tours. Like Strawberry Tours has free tours in different cities around the world. My sister uses them. And there are other ways that you can find free or cheap travel if you're looking to do it on a budget. Or you can just kind of, whatever you're interested in, do the research and find that in that area so that you can keep yourself entertained throughout. So knowing where you want to go, knowing some of the activities and things that it would take to get there, and more along the lines of like, what would I like to do? So it would be, for me, and let's say the BeautyCon example, where are we staying? What are we doing? What do we need to get from place to place? So like the logistics of travel will tend to be my major focus. And then I like to create a dream budget. So I like to do research on, okay, what kind of hotel am I looking for? How far away from the event would it be? Or in what part of the town would I like to stay in? Making sure there's like an understanding of how much it costs, and then putting like the exact number to it. Because something that I've noticed with dreams and goals is that they seem like they're so distant and so far off. But sometimes when you put a number to it, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so affordable. I met someone in the airport the other day, and he says flights from New York City to Miami cost around $150 and a few weeks away. And that's just like even now. And then, or $250, something where it was really affordable. And it was like, if you plan more time in advance, it's even more affordable. So there's always the chance that you'll be surprised at how much more affordable your dreams are if you just do a little research, confront the price tags. You're not committed to buying, it's just looking, and it doesn't hurt. And sometimes it gives you that motivation that you need to move forward and book it, because you're like, oh, I can afford this. Or even if it's not quite in your budget range, it's easier to create a budget and know how much you need to save once you have an idea of what it costs and what it's going to take. So then after that, if you don't have the money for it, now you have a number and a target to hit. So now you can create a goal around, I'm going to make, the X amount of dollars that it takes to do this thing, instead of it just being like, oh, I don't know, I could never do that. It's like, no, just do the research, have faith, don't be afraid to confront the numbers, because sometimes the numbers will be in your favor. So I hope you find some motivation or inspiration and just being bold and brave, stating your desire, doing some research to figure out how much it costs, and then seeing how can I make this happen. Because at the end of the day, that's what all of our goals are. You start with an idea and you figure out what it takes. And whenever you get into practice on this, you can make such a huge impact on your world. So check out my videos on keeping it simple, silly, smarty pants. You got to get your mind right sometimes to really understand what living your best life means. And I'll have something in the description that's delightful and fun, helping you with your vision and expanding it as soon as I get that together.